Hello everyone, welcome back to another Doctor Who review, and today we are doing our review of Doctor Who The Flux. Yes, Series 13, the latest series out there. So we're going to be going through the Halloween Apocalypse, War of the Centaurans, Once Upon a Time, Village of the Angels, Survivors of the Flux, and Vanquishers. Also, we're going to be going more directly towards the characterization of every actor in this series and how that helped and may have made the plot struggle in certain areas. So we have John Bishop as Dan, Jacob Anderson as Vinder, Kevin McNally as Jericho, and Scrolly as Claire. Tida Graham as Belle. Apologies if I've butchered any of these names. Steve Oram as Joseph Williamson, and Craig Ells as Carvanista. So, let's get into it, shall we? Right from the bat, we have John Bishop. John Bishop's character was, let's say, in certain areas very helpful and a very good character across the whole entire series. Sometimes questioning what's going on. Most of it very natural reaction, and other times he didn't necessarily get enough to do. I would say that's the only big problem I have with his character at a certain point in the series, is he doesn't feel like he has had that much development. Besides that, he was absolutely hilarious. Great use of comedy throughout the series. Then we have Jacob Anderson's Vinder, who was a kind of Bond type of character, I would say, and a very headhunted on. But as we slowly progress through the series, we realise his motivation is behind the fact that he was wronged in a job where he felt that he could do much more, but because what he reported wasn't taken seriously, he felt that he had lost everything, except from that one person he was searching for in the universe, which coincidentally is Belle. Belle's story was pretty good as well, but I feel like in areas it was very rushed and could have done with more development and its own screen time as its own individual episode. This would have just helped the character in general be more taken in by the audience than just popping in and out of other story arcs that we have to go through. Then we have Jericho. Jericho is this superstitious soldier who has left the war and is experimenting. Who he comes across with, that is Claire. Claire has this psychic ability to see visions and people. When the Doctor arrives, she's drawing angels because the Doctor's already met her, but it's kind of timey-wimey and very like all over the place. And she has an angel inside of her at one point, which then traps the Doctor and sends the Doctor to the Vision. Now we're going into Carvanista, everybody's favourite Doc. Totally not dog porn out there. But besides that, on the joking line, Carvanista is a brilliant character whose story I feel could have been better if there was more visuals on screen to depict all the things that he goes through, especially when we find out in the Vanquishers that his people have been killed off by the Centaurans. Oh, and here we go. The Centaurans. Their whole episode arc of throughout this series has been pretty much brilliant up until slight problems in the ending. But I wanted to ride a horse was completely funny. Along with the fact that in their Vanquishers they make the joke that they need certain things to survive, so they madly end up coming up with this plan to raid corner shops. Overall, the Centaurans were brilliant. They're in the War of the Centaurans, their battle with the Crimean soldiers. The visual effects on that are uncanny and absolutely brilliant. Nonetheless, I haven't got too much more to say about them, except from it's good to see them back. The Grand Serpent. Now we're getting to an interesting character. He's got a master-like presence and a very dominant, like atmosphere when he's on the screen. He is more powerful than most people. The only thing that really let him down towards the end of the series is how he was defeated. To be left and exiled onto a rock, it didn't feel as satisfying, especially after we'd just seen him take over UNIT and manipulate history as a whole. But if he was ever brought back, I feel like they need to do more, especially if they're going to get rid of him and like have a conclusion. Azure and Swarm. Another two characters that were slightly let down. They were foreshadowed from the beginning of the series to be this really dark and powerful presence. Their time, the Doctor and everyone else, is space. They want to eliminate space so that time can be set free and watch the universe be destroyed on a never-ending loop. Their plan was not bad. It was so easily destroyed by trapping the Flux in a passenger. All the monsters in this series were brilliant. They had their own individual roles. The Angels, for instance, were a very dominant force. The Cybermen were kind of a background feature, as were the Daleks in certain parts of this series, but for good reason. The Ood, the one we meet, is very funny and absolutely brilliant throughout the series. And the Centaurans, I would say, had a confident and very good battle plan throughout it. Right, now before I give my final verdict on the episode, it's time for a quick honourable mention. So here we go. Mandip Gill as Jasmine Khan, Blake Harrison as a traveller that bumps into Belle, Penelope Ann plays the school teacher, which is ironically the child that goes missing, Amanda Drew as Murray, Sam Spurrell as Swarm, Craig Parkinson as Grand Serpent, Sarah Parwell as Mary Seacole, Gerald Kyde as General Logan, Nadia Albania as Diane. I've most probably completely butchered that name, sorry. Paul Broughton and Sue Jenkins as Neville and Elaine. Rodella Saddle as Azure. Sorry to all the actors in this if I butchered any of your names, but they've played very brilliant and consistent roles throughout this whole series. To be honest, if it wasn't for some of them as being certain characters in certain aspects of the plot, most of the episodes would have completely fallen apart and wouldn't have been as interesting as they were. Although I say this, coming back to what I'm about to go into, my final verdict on the Doctor Who Series 13 Flux, a series as a whole, Episode 1 was brilliant. Episode 2 was good, but could have done with improving at certain points. Episode 3 was brilliant as well, going back into the past of the Doctor. Episode 4, Village of the Angels, could have done with a little bit more time as an episode as a whole, rather than jumping back and forth. Episode 5 was also good, but episode 6 was the biggest letdown for me because I feel like it could have done with more time or proper conclusion to its plot. So I'm going to give this series a very generous 7 out of 10. This could change, but for now, that's my verdict. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.